So, one second, just let me sort my scoreboard out. I don't know if this is okay for people. Yes, I see. Oh, of course. Yeah, my bad. Okay, right, I'll be moving the scoreboard over right now. This isn't the actual game, by the way. This is just a dud game. So I'm going to unlock my overlay and drag it over. Look how nice this overlay is, by the way. I hope everyone's admiring that. So I think this should be good. Maybe it'll look better if it's now in the far left. I think that'll probably look better. I'll also size it up 1 as well, for those who are visually impaired or otherwise. So that's going to be cool. And that's going to stay exactly where it is. So awesome. And let me see how the next game is coming along. Yes, we have the next game. The next game is in, so hold on to your hats, because Game 2 of Project versus Mazur is coming up in just a second. I wish I had some awesome intro music to play to you right now, but I don't, and I'll have that organised by next time, so I'll be able to blast you with basically a huge load of coolness. So, time to put this replay in my immaculately laid out folders. Of course, when you have as many replays as I do, you have to have them really well laid out, otherwise it just goes crazy. So bear with me just a second. And then it'll be time for goodness. Alright, replay organized. It is time for game 2, and I'm doing the dramatic opening music with my mouth. Awesome. So I'm going to hotkey you over to this right now, and we're going to get this started, put it on fastest, just the way everybody likes it. I also need to make sure that the colours are now correct. So spawning in at the top, we have the magnificent Mazur as the white Protoss. And at the bottom we have the wonderful Project spawning in as the brown Terran. And look how easy that is for me to do. Oh, wait, it needs to be brown. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Okay, so I hope that overlay is good for you now as well. I hope it's not too big, not too small, not too hot, not too cold, not too sweet, not too salty. And just shout me on the stream chat if there are any problems, and I will make sure to sort it in between games right now. But the issue of the moment is all about the match. So let's take a quick look at the map here. Something which I omitted to do last time. Aha! It is the imbalanced, the almighty Othello. Now, of course, Protoss have had trouble with this map for a little while now. I'm not quite exactly sure why, because of course this map was played slightly before my time. But I hear rumblings about easiness of Terran pushing. And also it looks like a third gas might be a little bit hard to secure as well. Just from a cursory glance. I have of course played this map on occasion, but I've never really given it any real thought. So we'll see what the players decide to do here, and hopefully that will give me some inkling as to what exactly is going on with this map. Just making sure everything's running smoothly. Okay, yes, looks like everything is running smoothly. Okay, awesome. So the gateway being thrown down right away from Mazur, so once again, no crazy cheese stuff. Of course it would be a bit difficult to cheese on this map, but of course you could do things like throwing down the gateway here, and making some kind of semi-proxy, slightly faster 2-gate. Excuse me. My illness kicking in once again. And Project doing the normal stuff as well. Throwing down the gas, pretty standard timing, throwing down the barracks as well. That supply depot positioning looks slightly curious to me. It looks like it manners that guy ever so slightly, and he has to go just round. Really, really not too big of a deal though, and I'm sure that Project has thought of all such things in advance. Given that he has absolutely crazy go-to. Instantly chucking 3 SCVs onto the gas. We'll see if one of those or 2 of those get pulled off the gas momentarily once he's got enough to do his thing. And going straight for the cybernetics core this time from Mazur, we're going to see no zealot action today. Well, I say today, no zealot action in this particular game. Of course we'll see some today, we already saw some today. enough for me waffling. The factory now being laid down for Project, and yes, it looks like he is going to pull 2 of those SCVs off gas, so it is going to be a nice conservative build from him. He is going to go for the expansion, clearly not phased by the last game, clearly not keen to try any kind of crazy rush. He wants to make sure that he gets that expansion up and running, and I'm sure he's going to be a lot more wise to any of Mazur's trickery this game. But of course it can have a pretty major effect on a player's mindset going into game 2 or game whatever, if in the last game they got torn apart by an unexpected strategy, because of course then you never know quite what you're looking for. Oh, but did you see that? The probe actually sneaking around here, and of course the Marine didn't have vision on it round the cliff, so it was able to get a lot further than it should have done. But no big deal, because the second Marine easily takes him down. And he's going to get absolutely no information whatsoever other than 2 Marines and a barracks. Which is really not much in the way of information at all. And another supply depot being laid down to allow him to keep producing the stuff. And a second gateway, that's actually quite curious from Mazur, but we do see some slight weirdness from Project, pushing out with 2, 3, 4 Marines. And I'm not quite sure what the meaning of this is. I'm not quite sure if he's going to try and do some weird pressure. No, it looks like he was just making sure there was no kind of fast expand happening, which is of course entirely reasonable. And second SCV headed home. And what is this? Could this be a bunker? He is going to try the bunker expand for a second time in a row. I think this is a slightly later expansion this time than it was previously, so this is just kind of one fac expand kind of thing, whereas last time it was kind of a super quick Terran FE. Just behind a bunker, whereas this time he's got the factory up beforehand as well. But throwing down a bunker just to make sure he's entirely safe, and that is completely 100% understandable. Given that we have this pretty wide open choke point, I mean look at that, that is one hell of a lot of space for fun and games to take place. But Mazur, going for a slightly weird build, I'm not quite sure why he's chosen this. He's chosen the 2-gate, and this is a pretty... not too much of a common build to see these days, unless there's a very specific plan for it, because of course, just as a general build, if it doesn't really do any damage, then you've sacrificed a lot of your timing in terms of economy, because the command center is going down already, whereas you're just pumping Dragoons, and of course they become pretty useless pretty quickly if the Terran has a really solid defense behind him. And the first couple of Dragoons with range are now going to arrive. Oh, but it looks like deciding to lose all the shield on that first Dragoon. Maybe all the shield on the second one as well. So Mazur slightly mismicroing it there. And he lost a little bit of health on this one as well. And the tank is already out, so that's going to see these guys clear. Ooh, the bunker actually losing one hell of a lot of health before these guys were cleared off. And laying down the Nexus now as well. So just as I thought, choosing not to just go for crazy goon pressure. Of course, stuff like Bulldog can be pretty strong on maps like this, because Terrans can always be tempted to siege up tanks along this cliff to defend the entrance to the natural here. But then if you have a shuttle, you can just go along bombing the hell out of those tanks with your zealots. So that can be pretty neat to do as a Protoss player, if you really want to kill the Terran. Which, let's face it, at some point we all do. At some point we've had a horrible ladder run and we think, I just want to kill the guy who I'm playing against. I don't want to take it into long game, but it looks like Mazur isn't even thinking that far ahead. He just wants to try and break. But this could be a really horrible mistake if he doesn't manage to get these tanks. Lots of fire being taken by the Dragoons, but it looks like they are going to be enough, and they get all the way in to the tanks and take out both the siege tanks here, and suddenly Project could be in a little bit of trouble. And here we see one of the Achilles heels of Terran bunker expands, and he needs not to get these Dragoons trapped because they're pretty much all he has. And it looks like Project should be okay because SCVs are pretty damn good against Dragoons, so getting the surround with the SCVs, and he is going to be able to clean these goons up probably pretty rapidly without too much ado, but sacrificing 2 tanks in the process. Oh, nice surround on that Dragoon, so that Dragoon is going to get taken down right away, and he should be able to get a surround on this one and without taking too much damage clean this up. But now Mazur actually almost managing to take this bunker down at the front whilst Project's attention was diverted away, and this is going to be really annoying flushing out these last couple of Dragoons, and I just hope for his sake that he doesn't lose this tank. He shouldn't do. There's absolutely no reason why he would, and he's going to be able to clean those goons up pretty nice and easily with SCVs and a tank, but losing a fair number of SCVs to that pressure as well. So a nice little idea from Mazur. Not sure how well it panned out for him overall. I mean, we can see that Project's a little bit low on SCV saturation right now, but not too much of a big deal. And that did of course cost Mazur, was it 5 or 6 Dragoons? I cannot remember, one or the other. So that was actually pretty expensive for him. But it looks like he is unfazed, sending out a probe to lay down the third base. Must be feeling relatively safe then, in that case. he pretty much has two choices at this stage. After that little burst, which was kind of on a moderate level of successful, but not, I wouldn't really call it overall particularly successful, he can now lay down a third base and then try and macro up absolutely as fast as possible, which does of course mean he has to pump economy for that little bit longer first in order to take advantage of that third nexus. Or what he can do is he can settle for a 2 base, pump a few more probes out of these 2 nexus, and then sit on like 4 or 5 gateways and go for speed lots as well to try and break Terra mid-game push it. But oh no, it looks like, oh no, he doesn't quite lose that Dragoon. But what's this? It looks like he's going to try and push all the way in, and I don't know how good of an idea this is because there is a siege tank up on the high ground as well, but not choosing to push all the way in, just doing a little bit of pressure. Oh, and look at this. He's got a nice positioning here where he can start sieging down, not really sieging down, but taking out the SCVs on the mineral line. And a second tank sieging up, but will he try and take that one out as well? Mazur being super hyper aggressive, and he will be able to get rid of that tank too. That Dragoon is going to go down, but this does enable him to stay in this base for a little bit longer, dealing the damage, and that's proving pretty costly for Project as well. More Dragoons coming in here, so Mazur doing a ton of damage. Project in so much trouble right now just from this crazy Dragoon aggression that we're seeing from the other side of the map. Mazur really excelling himself in this matchup so far. I mean, we saw him take game 1 so absolutely thoroughly, and his state of mind is absolutely sky high right now as we see him just going for the crazy aggression. He's going to go in for another siege tank kill, and he will probably get it. At what cost? I don't yet know. Managing to take down that siege tank at the cost of 1 Dragoon, and actually going in for the last one too. This could be absolutely ridiculous. Is he rallying more Dragoons? He is rallying more Dragoons in, so this tank is going to go down too. Another tank just popping out as well, so this Dragoon is going to go down pretty quickly, not bothering to micro that one at all, which is absolutely fair enough. And the barracks might go down too. It looks like the barracks will go down, so that's going to be slightly frustrating for Project. Not able to produce any more factories quite yet. But look at the position that Mazur has levered himself into. He is destroying the Terran's economy. He has destroyed the Terran's army time and time again. Whereas all the while he has been getting more bases up. He has been making more gateways. So given just a few minutes longer in this game, he will be in such a nice position to take it into the late game and finish it off. So lovely play by Mazur there. Just pulling no punches. Really knowing his game plan, and his game plan is aggression. I really like that. Fascinating play. So, excuse me. So these Dragoons pulling back, seeing that they're in grave danger if they stay in too much longer, because 4 Dragoons, not too much at this stage of the game, but still only 2 siege tanks from Project. And a dropship being produced, so this is quite cool, because this is pretty much the one kind of thing that could get Project back into this game right now. That is harassment. He has to be able to keep the Protoss economy down to such a level whereby he can still mount a decent game off 2 bases, and not have his push look like a piffling little failure of bad push. I couldn't really think of how to describe that there. But yeah, anyway, he has to try and keep the Protoss economy down to an absolute minimum, and this is quite a nice thing to do because, of course, cliffs are pretty nice for siege tanks. So these tanks are just going to siege right up on top of this cliff, and they should get a couple of nice volleys off from the probes. How fast will Mazur pull the probes? Oh, quite a few there. He's lost a total of only 4 probes, so that's okay. But how's he going to be able to flush these tanks out? There are temples right here which block. Oh, a nice move. As if he knew. Ninja producing the shuttle. And a Reaver as well, so he's going to lift those 2 Zealots right over here. And that Reaver actually could be a really superb decision, because if we look at Project's base, he's got 1 missile turret. Yep, 1 missile turret, nothing covering his expansion either. So Mazur doing a nice job of flushing this dropship out, and it seems like he killed the siege tank as well. And this Reaver could actually work really well if he starts doing some pressure with it right now. Look at all those SCVs from Project. Did he just transfer some over? Oh my god, he has so many SCVs right now. And I don't know what all these guys are doing. I don't know if he misclicked them or something, but they are just bugging out like crazy. Wow, that's a heavy saturation. Okay, so Project should probably really stop on the whole crazy production of SCVs right now. Of course, this allows him to maximize his 2 bases for now, but of course that's cost him a lot of extra cash to produce all those SCVs as well, so we'll see how that scales for him. Mazur sitting pretty on 95 supply while Project sits on 76. Oh, dearie me. So if he's going to be doing anything, he needs to do it relatively soon, because Mazur's lead will otherwise grow quite severely. Sorry, I've got quite a bad cough at the moment, so I'm trying to deal with that at the same time. A Reaver now coming in to the back of Project's main base. He's going to start taking out some stuff, but it looks like Project is prepared for this. He has the engineering bay hovering over the back there. The Academy probably going to get got rid of there, but oh my god, this missile turret isn't even covering anything, so there could be a really big Scarab going off right away. Only managing to get one SCV with the first one, 2 with the second one, so some nice Scarabs happening there. This dropship will probably be able to do some useful stuff though. Oh, nice bit of micro there by Mazur, managing to grab one of those vultures pretty much as it comes out. And that shuttle is forced to retreat as the dropship comes in with the reinforcements for the Terran. Look at how small the Terran's army still is though. He's only got like 5 or so siege tanks up. Really, really not many. Producing up an extra CC while he's at it. We do now see the forge happening for Mazur, not getting any upgrades yet, which is slightly peculiar. He does have a few minerals piling up, so he'd probably do well to produce a few rounds of speed lots right now. And of course this is a stage where he can start really scaling up his gateway numbers. The Reaver coming back in for another attempt it seems. Oh, big Scarab going off, but the Reaver does get taken down in the process by the 2 siege tank double-pronged attack of pain there from the Terran. So the Reaver does get taken down. And I really feel that Reaver could have done more damage. Imagine if that had been dropped in there with clever use of the Zealots as well. Then it could have demolished so many SCVs. Because it's a far more accessible area than over here, I feel. And also, the Scarabs are much more likely to land at this area. Don't ask me why I think that, I just think that. Probably because of the direction in which SCVs run away. Now destroying that weird little power generator thing. And a bit of harassment heads out onto the map as well for Project, but this is easily shut down because we do have a couple of cannons already up at this base for Mazur, so that's going to be pretty nice. And he's got a 4 base economy kicking in right now, so Project is going to start feeling the strain very soon if he doesn't get out on the map, and it looks like that's exactly what he is doing, unsieging a whole load of his siege tanks, leaving just a skeleton crew of defense, i.e. 1 lone siege tank, but only pushing out as far as is natural. Oh, and all these Dragoons are going to get taken down, leaving 1 survivor, and it looks like not even that. Mazur wasn't particularly keen on that guy. So that last Dragoon goes down as well. Mazur's army actually surprisingly small, and this is probably because of his low probe saturation. I mean, he really doesn't have many dudes mining at his 3rd base. He should probably do well to transfer a few extra guys over there, making a couple of gateways there as well. But I'm really quite amazed that his army isn't bigger actually. We see him on 139 supply, while Project is on 112, so still with a decent supply lead there for Mazur. And he might be able to do some decent stuff. It looks like he is going to try his hand at running in and bombing this defense. And this calls to mind one of those recent Pro League matches where we saw something very similar to this. And it seems that Mazur might actually be able to break this here with superior army numbers. There's only 3 siege tanks left intact. And they're probably going to get taken out pretty easily with lots and lots of Dragoons coming in from the back from Mazur. So it is going to be goodbye to this particular defensive position from Project. Getting in though and laying down a few extra mines. And they're going to take out so many Dragoons if they are allowed to go off. All these Dragoons getting taken down. Really, really nice defense there from Project. But he is left with just 2 siege tanks, while Mazur is left with 4 bases and a good number of gateways with which to re-macro from. And the final couple of Dragoons are going to go down very, very quickly. So a nice defense there from Project, and it does mean he will be able to get this 3rd base up, even if for only a limited time. A couple of extra Dragoons pushing out now, and I'm not quite sure where Mazur's tech is. It looks like, there we go, we do have Arbiters to be started very soon. But look how low on resources Mazur still is, even though his army is pretty small. He hasn't been able to re-macro many units, and this is because he had to cut so many probes in order to make sure he could continue Dragoon production, although I'm not quite sure why he had to do that. No, it actually looks like he's got a pretty decent probe saturation here. But for the longest time, we saw him on really very low probe numbers over at this side of things. Big storm going off on the mineral line of Project. I'm not quite sure how many guys that got. It probably only got 5 or 6, but still that's a decent number. Although Project was so oversaturated for a bit, I'm sure he can handle that kind of thing. And I wish he'd unload that just so we could see. It looks like he's going to head on over to the National, and that could be a pretty good idea. I'm not sure if Project is wise to this. Those SCVs just happily mining away, and if he could grab just 1 or 2 of these clumps, and that would be really, really nice for Mazur, and would put him once again in absolutely prime position to take this game. But Project doing a magnificent job of trying to lever himself back into things here. He has the 3rd base up and running. He's got a 4th base going down just as quickly as possible. Oh, and the Wraith actually coming along and taking out that shuttle. It looks like this guy only got 1 kill, so not half as much of a dramatic Psy Storm as I was imagining. Of course, it may have been a 2nd High Templar which was dropped and then taken down after casting the Storm. So we probably never know quite how many SCVs were taken down there. Looks like we had a bit of a mine hit on 1 or 2 Dragoons over there, but nothing too drastic. So Mazur now with the 4th base thoroughly up and running, he should be really, really ramping up his gateway count. I'm surprised, really, really surprised he's still only on 5, 6, 7, 8 gateways, given that he's mining off 4 quite well saturated bases. I just think he should grab some more probes and dump them over here, but it's not too much of a crucial point. And it looks like he has spotted this command center with some very nice scouting. However, this is really quite well defended. Look at this Sim City right here. Rapidly thrown down from Project, trying to save that siege tank, but no, he will be unable to save it. And it looks like Project once again is going to be pushed back here. That SCV actually managing to complete the missile turret, so let's see if this observer goes down. No, it has got observer speed, so it's probably going to be okay. But this position has been broken. Project is forced back into the middle again, just stuck defending that third base. And Mazur sat nicely on 5 bases now, so very soon that superior gateway count will really start to mean a lot, and he should be able to be maxing out very, very quickly here. We can see that he's only ever hit 165 supply in this game, and I'm really, really very surprised at that. We can see that he's on 2,000 minerals now, so he needs more pylons. I'm not quite sure what's the deal here. Oh, yeah, we do see another drop coming in from Project. So this is a nice bit of an idea. I think he'd be better served going and trying to do some damage over one of these bases, because this is where the money really is at this stage for Mazur. This is where he's getting all his cash from. Some very bizarrely placed Dragoons hanging around down the bottom here. I guess they were just scouting out for any hidden bases. A decent enough idea, of course. Oh, and we see dual drops actually taking place. A siege tank being thrown down here as well, grabbing itself 4 kills. The drop, which was once up here, has now been got rid of. But not without doing its fair share of damage first. We do see the base looking slightly tattered. And actually, it looks like Mazur has been unable to clear this out as well, so that siege tank is going to be able to have its way with this base for a little while yet. I'm not quite sure if we have a shuttle out for Mazur. I think we probably do somewhere, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to defend this so handily. But look at this Project, just harassing at every side of the map at once with the double dropship play. Really, really nice bit of play here. That dropship looking pretty close to death, but very, very nice siege tank harassment from Project, so he's going to be able to evacuate that base once again. The upgrade is now taking place for Mazur, only on +1 so far, with the Terran on 1-1. A Project is now pretty well entrenched at that third base, but if we have a look, his army is still so small on 134, sorry, mixing up my words, supply, versus the Protoss' 180 out of 200. So he's going to have to be doing something pretty special here still in order to keep himself back in this game. But really, really admirable the way he's fought his way back here. So these vultures just getting out onto the map, laying mines down just a little bit. And that's actually pretty annoying for you as Protoss, because if you're wandering stuff around, if you're wandering control groups of speed zealots around, for example, then that gets really, really annoying when all your stuff starts dying on massive numbers of mines. Nothing could be more frustrating than spider mines. 2 speed observers with his army, however, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue right now. That vulture's going to be easily taken care of. And Project, there we go. He is moving to a 4th base, so I thought he probably should be trying that kind of thing once again. That command center actually looking, I thought it was burning down for a second there, but actually it's not. It's going to be okay. Project just making sure he's positioned, and I'm not quite sure what options Project has at this point. He needs to keep this harassment going in order to make sure he gets into a decent position in this game where he can actually try and mount some kind of push on the Protoss and do some prolonged damage. And it looks like this dropship might go down. Oh yes, it looks like that super cool cannon managing to get rid of it. And Vulture's coming back into this base. I'm not quite sure if they managed to take out any of the probes. It looks like they may have been able to take out a few. But actually, the probe saturation for Mazur not looking too hot anymore. Not looking too bad either, of course, because he does have so many bases. He can produce probes very, very fast. But not looking as good as it once did. We can see that he could really do with maybe 1 or 2 more than 0 probes mining away at this base. A few more here as well. So Project really showing his skills, doing lots of harassment in every area at once. And look at this, another nice SimCity being laid down by him. Is it going to be enough though? We do see a pretty significant number of Protoss units just roving around the map. And Mazur good at keeping his finger in all pies at once, making sure he moves to defend these areas as well while he's at it. And repositioning his army as well. I think he would do well to try and get in here sooner rather than later. We do see a lot of mines laid down, however, so if he does try any kind of recall action, then that is going to bite him so hard on the ass. But oh, just a few speed zealots managing to tank all the damage, so that's really pretty frustrating for Project. He needs to get those siege tanks in right now, otherwise he is going to have such a nightmare of a time defending this base. Look at all those Dragoons moving in now, and will the siege tank line be enough? It looks like it is going to be deep enough, so Mazur should probably start moving those Dragoons back, otherwise he's going to take so much damage, and there's going to be blue goo absolutely everywhere, laying down some mines just to take some more hits. And these Dragoons should really be pulled back. But oh, nice stasis going down on a whole load of the siege tanks. A few Goliaths being produced, however, to try and see off those Arbiters. These Dragoons are probably now going to be just about enough to deal with the last remnants of this force before the rest of the siege tanks come out of stasis once again. But look at the Terran supply dropping all the way down to 108, while Mazur's supply sits pretty at 190. So Project really having been unable so far to get himself properly back into this game at any stage. We do see Mazur still mining off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases. This base could hardly be counted anymore, but he has got pretty crazy probe saturation. And this base is forced out of the match once again for Project. So Mazur doing a very, very nice job of making sure that Project doesn't get any more of a foothold back into this. All these tanks managed to come out of stasis just at the inopportune moment whilst the Protoss army comes in on top of them. And that is going to be pretty bad times for the tanks because, of course, their range is pretty long-sighted. So Zealot's making short work of that. Looks like he will just be able to hold his position here, but not so much of a big deal. DT coming in there might be able to do some nice mind draggery. This Arbiter does go down, with 150 energy in it. Not too cool for Mazur. He will be wanting to start the recall process at this stage so he can really try and finish off the match. But Project actually doing a nice job of getting another 4th base up, so he will not take no for an answer. As we can see from an observer's perspective, he is so far behind at this stage, but big wins to him in a spiritual sense for not just giving up and throwing in the towel. He's really staying in this until he is sure that he's down and out. So that's pretty respectable quality, because of course you just never ever know when you could melt a crazy comeback. But it's pretty hard to know what his plan is for the rest of this game. He's probably just taking it one step at a time right now, because how do you plan when you're this far behind? You know, it's really pretty tough place to be in. And there we go, there we do see the first recall going into the back of Project's base, and he's actually got a couple more Arbiters coming in on top of this. That's probably a little bit of a mistake. He wouldn't have wanted all these guys to come in as well, unless he's planning for some kind of crazy-ass multiple recalls, which could also be very possible, and might do the finishing blows to Project. We can see lots of units flooding into the base now, so they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to the infrastructure. That command turret is going to be taken down, so that's going to be a minor frustration only for Project, since he's got nowhere to land it, which is of course pretty painful in itself. But some nice damage being dealt here from Mazur. And I'm not quite sure what Project's going to be able to do about this. He is pulling back a good number of units to try and defend it. Another recall coming in to defend the top of the ramp. It looks like that's not going to be quite enough to do the trick, and it might just use up a couple of units instead. But these siege tanks are going to be able to do some decent damage and take out those dragoons probably fairly rapidly. Oh, but he's got enough energy for a stasis as well. Look at that. So stasising that tank on the top of a ramp, and there are so many units in Project's base now doing so much damage all at once, and these dragoons are going to come in as well, and they're going to be so easily able to take out this base because Project has no spare units whatsoever. Look at this. He has literally nothing defending here. 2 siege tanks defending here only, but that is not going to be good enough, especially since they're pretty much out of range. And these dragoons are about to make mincemeat of this base as their fellow warriors make a mess of Project's main as well. So still comfortably mining off plenty of bases. He's still got loads of minerals left, and I really feel that Project's going to be on his last legs for this match, as Mazur lines up to take it 2-0 so far. I believe this is a best of 5, so we are going to have a couple more chances for Project to prove himself here and to get back into this. But Mazur doing a wonderful job of staying on top of the Korean-Russian awesome Terran that is Project. And anyone who's seen Project play before will know just how well Mazur must be playing right now to be beating it up quite so badly. Another recall coming in on top of the final remaining tanks, and that is surely going to be it. GG for the second game from Project.